Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, Parsa. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah, same here. We have like kind of known each other through Instagram, through our business pages, and I honestly feel like if I had somebody who offered me the resources you're offering, freelancers, I would have definitely got started with whitening. How much is the expected kind of amount you can charge a client per whitening?
Yeah, good question. So right now in this 2024 market, cosmetics are hot and they are not going away anytime soon. And whitening is becoming a very, very popular service. I'm assuming a lot of your listeners who are service-based providers in the dental world are seeing this. Patients are asking for this. So outside of a dental office, you're usually looking between 125 to 399, and there is a big space there. And the reason why there's a big space is, first off, depending on where you're providing it, right? Like if you're a home-based location, obviously you can't charge as premium as if you were, say, at a business location. And then from there, the other factors of your cost is going to come down to what product lines you're working with, and then also your geographical area. So are you in a rural area? Are you in an urban area? And also what your competition is offering around you. But I would say usually we're pushing more towards like 220 to 250 is most common. And when you see your margins, which I'm sure we'll chat about, I mean, it's it's a no-brainer. It's so easy to do. Whitening's such an easy and great service. And then to have these lucrative margins, it's just, as you mentioned, it is a no-brainer, especially with your background.
I have this like salon that I go to, and I'm always like, guys, we need to incorporate whitening. We need to incorporate whitening. And I'm always like, you see this washing station you have? Like, just remove one of these, and we can put a dental chair. Like, so I've definitely noticed about kind of the great margins, and I think we should definitely get more in detail. But what's the regular charge of the kit? Like, how much is the kit usually?
Yeah, good question. So this is where it gets fun to chat about, because if you're in an office right now and let's say you offer, the more popular names like Pola, Zoom, Opalescence, etc., you're going to be charging kits. You're going to get charged kits ranging from 120 to $211 per patient. So if you're buying those kits, that's going to be really hard for you to turn a good margin, right? Because that's a lot. And then that explains why typically chairside whitening in a dental office hits those 550, 600, etc. marks, because by the time the dentist brings that in, pays the provider, loses that chair time, they have to jack that up so high. So when it comes down to you being a professional, something really interesting has happened over the past few years, and companies have realized that you don't have to be buying those typical name brands from the dental industry to still get safe and effective results. There are so many great companies on the market now that you can buy safe and legitimate chairside whitening products for, I would say, around $25 to $60 a patient. So that's a big difference going from, 20 to 60 per patient instead of 120 to 211 per patient. And that's why you can get your margins down so low. And let's say your costs are $20 per patient and you're charging 220, 250. I mean, it's great. And if you're working with the right technology, no longer is it 90 minutes, 60 minutes in a chair. Your chair time from start to finish is 45 minutes if you're doing it correctly. So, I mean, I don't even need to do the math there. I think I can see it in your eyes. You're like, holy smokes, like that's lucrative. And it is, it really is.
Yeah, totally. I mean, chair time is expensive, and bringing it down from, I mean, I think typically in my office we block off around 90 minutes, but
Mhm.
um in some other offices I've worked, it's actually 2 hours that they block off. And
Yes.
for every product you have to clean and reapply, clean and reapply, or is it just some products? Because I've only worked with Zoom whitening.
Yeah, good question. So scientifically, any peroxide, if it's a hydrogen or a carbamide, it only has active life for about 20 minutes, depending on what light source you're using or if you're using light. So usually we're at the 20-minute mark. So after that, around that 20 minutes, some companies claim 15 minutes. then you do have to remove it, just because if you were to keep that gel on for your full session rounds and you didn't change it, your gel's already oxidized out. You could almost call it like dead gel. You want to keep it on actively. So that's why you do have to switch it out in increments. So you do have to reapply. But with different technologies, you can do that in shorter time frames and or less contact time. So let's say an example like Zoom, typically you would sit for 4 rounds of 15. If you're working with newer technologies on the market, you can get the same results in 2 rounds of 10. So that would be a great example of how you can get down to 45 minutes chair time, start to finish, because you're only doing 2 rounds of actually contact time. And then, by the time you put on your gingival barrier, etc., that fills up the rest of your 45. But there are different ways to do chairside whitening for sure, but you do always have to remove and reapply regardless of what brand you're working with. And then your set times just depend on the company and the technology you're working with.
So I guess I really want to understand, what does the light really do?
Are lights really needed? And the answer is not really. They are needed to accelerate the process. So they're there to help with dehydration. And depending on what gel you're working with, some gels have photosensitive agents, so they would need a light to even oxidize. So some gels really need it, but most of the time it comes down to accelerating the process, getting your tooth into a better absorption state, and then again, adding that dehydration level, because thirsty teeth look white.
Hmm. That's crazy. Yeah, it's really good to know, because then I guess the light becomes something that, as a freelancer or somebody that's just starting off, they can probably omit for a while, right? Before they have to purchase it.
So you absolutely could work with products. Again, majority of products, as long as they don't have a photosensitive agent, without a light, it's just most likely your patients aren't going to be as satisfied. They should definitely notice a difference, but if they really want that wow factor, ideally you want to be folding in a light, and there's definitely a lot of different lights in the market. I mean, you can budget under $300 for a light, or you can splurge and get, $2,500 lights. So it really comes down to what you're looking for, what time frame you want to work with, and what results you're looking for. So lights are definitely a hard topic to cover. Like, at the end of the day, are they the most important piece? No, but they can accelerate and just make your process smoother.
What is the minimum kind of tools and equipment needed to start your whitening side gig as a dental professional? Let's say you don't have an office, and you are planning to use some sort of non-clinical location. So you kind of would have to bring anything related to, like, if you need a suction and everything, just if you could cover everything to do with that.
Yeah, so the most important thing that you do not need, that usually most dental professionals are blown away by, is you do not need a suction to do teeth whitening. Because usually our suctions, we're looking for that saliva, and then also, of course, to remove the gels. But if you have your patient positioned properly, and then from there also are working with high quality materials, like not really runny gel, you want really nice thick and viscous gel, it is so easy to apply and remove with just cotton rolls, a micro brush, and 2x2s. So what do you need? You really just need to figure out if you're going the light route, would highly recommend it. Then you're going to need your typical disposables, like think of your PPE, your disinfectant, and then like your gauze and micro brushes for tractors. Now, really, really important, especially from a public health standpoint, and insurance reasons, which we can talk about, but you really want to make sure that your one-use disposable, even if you have, say, access to a sterilizer, still best to keep your retractors, etc., everything one-use disposable. And even the cost numbers that we've already talked about, that's including one-use disposables. So everything's one use. And then from there, you would need your preferred gel. And that's about it. Depending on what gel percentage you're working with, you may want a curing light if you need a gingival barrier. But if you had a floor light, then usually you can just cure your barrier with your floor light. So pretty minimal, no sections needed. And I would say to get started, again, all brands range, but you could easily start a teeth whitening business for as low as $600 to as high as $3,200. So it's pretty easy on the startup phase.
Yeah, sounds like it. I mean, if you start with 600, you've already made your money back after the third client. So
Right?
amazing. And one thing you mentioned about kind of the retractors and everything, I know that the Zoom whitening kits, they kind of come in a huge box and it has everything. Um, I know your company also offers your own line of products. Is that included? Is there a different package or it will be sold separately? Can you get into a little bit of that?
Yeah, for sure. So usually most teeth whitening companies, they offer startup kits, and usually that does include everything. And what you will find is that most companies do have prepackaged options for kits. Our company, so say our startup options, so kind of the numbers that I gave you, that does include everything that you would need, but some of your disposables. And the only reason we don't add in disposables is because kind of think of what you do in your hygiene practice. You and another hygienist are going to prefer different numbers of gauze, different types of floss, different, cotton rolls, etc. So we offer everything single purchase if you want extra disposables, and then you can kind of build your own favorites there because what we might like in a kit for disposable reasons, you might not. You might use less, you might use more. But again, usually that $600 to $3,200 mark is also going to fold in all of your disposables as well. And you'll find that you'll get into the groove of what you like specifically. And again, it is still very minimal on cost.
Yeah, sounds like it. I really like this idea of doing like a whitening party. Immediately what came to my mind was like a for like a wedding, like all the bridesmaids or all the groomsmen, they could kind of take turns and do that. Have you ever done any events like that, or was this kind of an idea?
Yeah, nope. We have in the past when we had our B2C company for sure. And then we know lots of providers right now who do really well with mobile events, as well as another really fun mobile idea is around like the holiday season when like big corporate companies are looking for ways to spoil their staff, showing up like, let's say you build a connection with a real estate office, you come in for a few lunch hours during the week and you multi-whiten different staff members during their lunch hour as, this is a Christmas gift or a holiday gift from the employer. So there's so many fun ways you can build in mobile. Now, when we've done it in the past, we have done it with lights. There are different lights on the market. We're the first to bring to the market in the Canadian market, the Beyond Accelerator, which actually allows you to see two people at once with it. So there are ways to see multi-clients at once quickly. And the nice thing with whitening as well, and I'm sure you can kind of picture this as you've worked with different brands in the past, is once you get that first patient under the light, you have time on your hands, right? It's not like you have to do anything. So that gives you grace period to easily set up a next person right beside you and have such a nice flow. Usually no one's waiting around. Like you're busy as the provider because it's bang, 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 but you are able to do it really, really seamlessly because that light time gives you so much flexibility.
Exactly. And I find that whitening has become kind of a big focus for even independent dental hygiene clinics.
Mhm.
Notice that too?
Yes, we've actually talked with quite a few out in your area. They're all doing amazing and they are so, so busy. And they are finding it's a mixture of not only are their current hygiene patients asking for whitening, but they're really like growing their client base because people are coming to them for whitening and then sticking around for hygiene after. So it's a great way to intensify new patients coming in, but then also another way to see clients that you might not have come across, right? If they weren't looking for a hygienist, but they want their teeth whitened, that's an extra source of revenue for you now.
Yeah, exactly. And then also you can kind of educate clients pre-whitening and kind of get them to do a cleaning before, since it's going to have better results once it's applied directly on kind of clean teeth without the dental pellicle. I know that there is a specific light that you were mentioning with the two kind of wires that comes out of it. So is the only difference the fact that you can do two patients at a time, or is there other differences there?
Yeah, good question. So our company is the only authorized partner with Beyond International in Canada, which is super exciting. So Beyond is a manufacturer in Texas, and they've been in the dental market since 2003. And really interesting, they left the North American market for last. They're in over 133 other countries, and they have over 14 dental advisory boards with this accelerator. So it's not a new piece of technology, it's just a new piece of tech to the North American market, including Canada. So why this unit is so unique is not only because you can see two patients at once, but instead of like your typical LED light technology. So one thing that we should mention, because a lot of listeners are probably confused, because it's really confusing in this space. All Amazon lights, your Zoom light, most lights that you are getting from whitening distributors are LED technology. Okay, so it's LED, it's not a real laser, and it's not UV. UVs were pulled off the market a long time ago. So it's an LED light. Now, there's a lot of confusion, especially in the cosmetic and the dental industry realm, where for whatever reason, LED lights have been called lasers. They're not lasers, they're just LED lights. But in the dental market, you can use your actual laser, like for gingivectomies, etc., for whitening. So you could use your fancy laser for whitening, but usually you're not purchasing a laser for, $13,000 just for chairside whitening. You're usually purchasing your laser for your other services, and then whitening is just an added bonus. So when I'm talking lights, I'm talking LED lights. So they're usually ran off of LED wavelengths, so your nanometers, and you usually have blue or red technology. And usually this is sitting around as low as 2,500 nms nanometers up to 11,000 nm nanometers. So Amazon, your lower 2,300, Zoom, your 11,000. Now, this is going to break down your gels depending on your intensity levels quickly or slowly, and also dehydrate your tooth structure either more quickly or more slowly. And the only downside with LED lights is usually they start to produce a lot of heat. And then heat is going to cause pulpal inflammation, which is going to intensify your sensitivity with your chairside whitenings. So what Beyond did is they produced a new piece of technology in LED lights. So the Beyond system not only has two outputs, so you can see two patients at once if you want to, but instead of LED light heat, they've done ultrasonic technology. So think of like your ultrasonic in your stereo bay. If you've done a foil test before, think of those cavitation marks. That's what's happening with this light piece. So you're attaching it to your retractor. It actually sits really snug because you're using retractors specifically for this unit. So you're as close as possible. So you're getting the best coverage, your best arch coverage. And then the ultrasonic transmitters are going out through the whole session. So kind of as you talked about how to get interproximally, you are getting so interproximal with this light because it's moving around the gel for you. So you're getting the cavitation experience to not only get into those grooves and pits that you might have not have done just from your manual laydown, but also we're penetrating the enamel a lot quicker too. So ideally we're going through the enamel quicker and getting into those dentin tubules where most of our intrinsic stain is sitting. So that's why you're getting better results with this light, because it's contacting areas a lot quicker. And the last piece that I haven't even mentioned yet, so I had said like your Zoom light speed is around 11,000 nms. With this ultrasonic technology, you're up to 26,000 nms. So you have literally just doubled your intensity output without heat. So very rarely you're going to get sensitivity off of it, and you're breaking down most times. Remember when we talked about your 20-minute is usually that rough time that your peroxides die out. Now your peroxides are dying out in 10 minutes. So that's why you're able to get your chair time down so quickly, because you're accelerating the process from start to finish.
I know that some whitening kits, especially the more like the bigger kits that comes with all the different stuff, it comes with like a numbing gel that basically soothes your sensitivity post treatment. Is that something that comes in your product line?
I love that you brought that up. So companies that are claiming a numbing agent is just a marketing technique. Honestly, the only property that is in this quote unquote numbing technique is potassium nitrate or potassium citrate. And that's just in a lot of products, right? So majority of all whitening gels have either or in them. And then you can use additional products. Usually they're called remineralizers or post whitening gels that you are applying on after. So some companies have you place on trays after and have the client sit with it on. Some companies just have you apply it on like a fluoride varnish. But when it comes down to it, as long as it's not fluoride as well, because usually fluoride's used in a lot of these products too to help remineralize, because studies show that fluoride usually is the best combating dent and hypersensitivity. But if you are doing your chairside session safe and effectively, dentin hypersensitivity shouldn't even be on the table.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm really glad I asked that because I always wondered what is in that. So you're just saying it's basically a sensitivity product. So like a Sensodyne rapid would probably be,
Exactly.
or maybe like a MI paste, even
Mm-hmm.
maybe quick, maybe it might even work the best MI paste. That's really good to know because that's been one of the things that stopped me from going independent with this because at the end of the day, there's always this level of comfort knowing that there's a dentist near you. Anything that goes wrong, like even if you break their tooth, like at the end of the day, the dentist can like fix it, right? So it's I've been kind of reluctant to be like, oh my god, what if it's sensitive, and then now they're like, oh, you made my teeth sensitive. Well, it's like there's definitely over-the-counter sensitivity options, and also, as you mentioned, if they're sensitive, you probably did it for too long or something. Right? They should probably let you know before it becomes sensitive for you to stop, right?
Exactly, right? So usually you can feel sensitivity chairside, and then post chairside whitening sensitivity is definitely possible. But again, that's usually when you're working with those higher percentages of straight hydrogens. That's usually going to be your big flag. Or if you're working with like, you have done 4+ rounds of contact, it really does just come down to how you provided the service.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing, just just from doing whitenings myself, I have noticed this, and it's my pet peeve, and I hate it, so I just wanted to say it. When you're applying the gingival barrier, you have to check with the mirror on the mesials and distals to see that the barrier is in fact covering the whole papilla. Because when you're just looking straight on, you don't see the distals, right? So I'm more distals than mesials, really. You need to look in the mirror, bring it on the side, look at the other side. So I find that when they don't do that, then that's when they're really getting all of that kind of tissue trauma. That's great. And Rachel, could you just give us a rundown of kind of like the the actual products that dental professionals can purchase with the name of the items, where they can purchase it from, and kind of give us the starter package. Give us all the things that they should be purchasing, where to purchase it from, what they're called, and all that.
Yeah, for sure. So first I would start with build a business plan, do that. And then from there, make sure that you can find insurance that will cover you. And also check out your public health unit area and see what your checklist requirements are for your province or your city. And usually it's pretty easy, but some areas might just be like, hey, you really need to have a hand washing station near you. Something as simple as that. So just check that out, and then you get to move on to the fun things. So do you need to be certified as a dental professional? That's usually the next question is, do you need to take a course? I would ask yourself, how much experience do you have with chairside whitening? That would be your first question. And then your second question would be, how much do you actually know about teeth whitening? If you're that self learner that can, really go and deep dive and do the podcast, read the cited studies, read the textbooks, etc., then maybe a course isn't for you, but you will definitely benefit from a training certificate. If you are a hands-on or visual learner, would highly recommend it. Now, when it comes to insurance, they will cover you with just your dental diploma or degree, but you will get added policy bonuses if you also have a training certificate specifically in teeth whitening. So there is a little bit of a benefit for sure, like a little incentive to also get a teeth whitening certificate because you can get policy premiums there. But again, if you feel super confident with teeth whitening, you as a dental professional, you do not require a certificate. So once you've made that decision, if you're going to spend that extra money for a certificate or not, then it's time to chat products. And products are super fun because there are so many great options on the market. I'm going to be biased and pitch our own product, but you can find a variety of different products at Fern Whitening Supplies, and you can go straight to the startup page. And you have one page that's going to list off everything that you can choose that you want or do not want. So you're going to have 3 different gel percentages you can choose to start with, an 18%, a 25%, or 35%. So that 35%, unless you're in office, that's not for you, but your 25 or your 18 is a great option. 18% is for professionals who do not want to put down a gingival barrier. Ideally, I mean, you should, but if you really, really do not want to put down gingival barrier, then an 18% is safe to do so without. So that would be your main difference there. I would say 99% of the time, you're going with the 25%, that's Zoom comparable. And then your next option is going to be what light option you want. So do you not want a light? Do you have a Zoom light that you've maybe picked up off of Marketplace? Because believe me, there's a lot on Marketplace. Then you're going to need an Unlight lock chip. So we do carry the Unlight lock chip, which means you can install this light chip that will unlock that locked light and make it universal. So you'll have over 1 million uses off of the Zoom light. So that's a great way to stay a little bit more budget friendly if you can get a really cheap Zoom light, because a lot of offices are getting rid of their Zoom lights right now. And just buy the light chip. It's about $450. But again, you're going to make that cost back really quickly. So that's an option. Or you can float through our different light options that we have, ranging from 300 to 2500. So you have your low level LEDs up to your beyond ultra accelerator. And then from there, that kit is going to give you all of your prep materials, all of your chairside materials, and also, of course, your gels. So from there, the only other things that you might have to dive into is, say, grabbing gloves, disinfectants, etc. We do carry all of that. You would just have to grab it on the next page over in your disposable section. But from there, that's pretty much it. You just wait for your kit if you are doing training or not. And then, of course, the team here, we have over 10 sales reps throughout Canada. So we have probably somebody in your local area, depending on where you're listening from, who can either do hands-on demonstrations, or technology is a great thing. We can always do demo demonstrations virtually with you as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been great. I think our listeners who are primarily contractors and independent practitioners would really benefit from all the information discussed today. So I encourage everybody to go check it out and purchase your things, get ready, and start making that money.